Now you're a junior at East Chicago Roosevelt. As you said, your confidence is going through the roof. You was a great scorer. Now just give us a little brief history on your junior and senior year.
Junior year, I would actually have to say my junior year was actually better than my senior year. My junior year, we also had great players that actually played with us as well. I'm gonna name someone which was good players. Fred Goodman was a good player. Richard Randolph. These are the guys I started with. It was myself, Richard Randolph, Fred Goodman, Jerome Battle, which was a 6'6" guard from here, and also Shepard Sneed, which was our point guard. We ended up winning the sectional. I want to say we beat Bishop Knoll in the sectional championship. Went to the championship game, the regionals in Gary. Ended up meeting Gary Lou Wallace, which was a powerhouse in Gary at the time. I want to say they was undefeated that year. That year they had Tellis Franks, which was like a 6'11" forward. They had Brian Asbury, which was like a 6'9" forward, and they also had a good player too by the name of Johnny Ford. I think he had a very promising career overseas as well too. We actually met up with those guys in the championship game. We lost that game by 2 points. We should have won that game. I want to say we were down 15 points in the fourth quarter. We came back. Fourth quarter, I want to say I scored 12 points. Down to the wire, we were only down. I want to say we were down 1 point, or we were down 2 points. And at that particular time, my point guard Shevitz threw a cross-court pass all the way across court, and they intercepted it. And I want to say they scored, but we were coming back down to score. I think we only had a few seconds left. That particular night, I think I want to say I scored 24 points in that game. I took the last shot. I actually took the last shot of the game, which if I had hit that shot, we would have won by 1 point. The ball actually went in the rim and bounced back out of the rim.
Wow.
But again, and we lost the game by 1. But I would have to say that my junior year was actually better than my senior year. I want to say I averaged 25 points that year. Again, I was first team All-State, honorable mention All-American, and that was the year that most of my recruiting came in, my junior year, actually.
Gotcha. Now you're a senior at Roosevelt. You had a heartfelt loss against Gary Lou Wallace. Lost by 2 points in the regionals. Now what is your focus? I know you mentioned you want to win state, but just give us a little brief history on your senior season.
Senior season, had a good season. Again, I felt at that time that my junior year was better. I would say it was a little more pressure at that time because I was a senior. So most of the young guys were actually looking up to me at the time, where my junior year I was looking up to the other guys that I also mentioned. I had a pretty good season that year. We faced another good player, a couple good players from Bishop Knoll. At the time they had Dave Lutz was a real good player. They had Kurt Rides was also a good player, and T.I. McCoy. We lost in the championship game of the sectionals that year, my senior year, so we didn't go over to the regional. We didn't have a chance to go to the regionals. But as far as and also that year we had, I don't know if you remember, we also had Tony Harris on our team that year, which was an awesome athlete as well. That year I had a pretty good career. I want to say I only averaged maybe 18, 19 points that year, but at that.
So what happened? I mean to cut you off. So what happened from junior year? You averaged 25. Now senior year,
I want to
you're
say
18.
I want to say it was more of it probably was more pressure on within myself. I probably had a lot of more pressure on myself, knowing that at the particular time that I was the best player on the team, and the team was kind of looking for me to carry them. So there probably was a lot of more pressure on me at that time, and I don't know and where my junior year, where the seniors was were more the captains, and I guess I didn't have as much pressure, and I was more free, man. My junior year was much better than my senior year, but my senior year wasn't all that bad. I had a pretty decent year. Yeah. It's just that I carried a lot of the load. I should say my senior year.
So how did you guys end your senior season?
We ended it. I want to say we actually came in second place. We actually came in second place. I want to say we were. We may have lost 4 or 5 games that year. 4 or 5 games that year. At that particular time, my senior year, my name was. I had already established a name for myself, man. And when I would go to different schools and we go to different schools and play, they were already expecting Art Pollard to come in and score 20 and 30 points, man. So that might have been some of the pressure too,
Yeah.
Going to these schools, and at the time, as a kid, you're an athlete, and you don't you're looking to go play, so you don't think about the pressure and everything else that comes along with the game. But as I got older and after I went to college and kind of learned and realized what it took to become a great, but I used to tell myself if I had a chance to do it all over, I would go back and I wouldn't change much, but I would change my work ethics. If I had went back and worked hard at the game, being that I was kind of talented, I didn't take it, how should I say it? I took it at heart, but I didn't apply myself the way I should have. After I got to college, then I realized that, in order to be a great, you had to work hard, but didn't realize that in high school. But if I had to do it all over, my work ethics, I would change them, and I think that I probably would have been 2 steps above where I was when I first went through high school.
So you guys lost in the regionals again?
No, we lost in the sectional.
Okay.
Bishop Noll beat us in the sectional. I want to say they beat us by 6 points.
Okay.
In the sectionals.
What kind of feedback after losing to Bishop Noll in the sectionals? What kind of feedback did you get from the East Chicago community? Because it was more like y'all was not saying y'all choked, but you guys had high expectations, correct?
Yeah, we was actually one of the better teams in the region. Everybody was actually expecting us to go all the way. I really didn't get any last back because after the season was over with, I ended up going to play in different tournaments, different all-star games, different tournaments. So, I kind of stayed busy. I didn't really focus on the loss. At that time, then I had started playing the all-star games, and then I started taking my college visits. Then I started going to college visits in different teams to decide on what school I wanted to go to. I want to say at that time they allowed us 5 or 6 visits,
yes.
And I took all 6 of my visits to make sure that, that I was choosing the right school.
So give us a little feedback on your visits. What school did you go check out?
I went to visit Illinois. I also visit Illinois State. I ended up going to visit Maryland. Houston, the University of Houston was recruiting at the time. I visited Houston, and I also visited I can't remember the last school I went to. Missouri. Illinois State is where I chose. I would have to say I felt comfortable there. When I actually signed there, they had high expectations for me, and as I actually went on through college at Oklahoma, and I kind of look back, if I had actually stayed at Illinois State, I think my career would have been much better. Because at that particular time when they recruited me, then I would have actually been the #1 player for them.
Gotcha.
And even though both programs was, they was on 2 different levels, but at that particular level with Illinois State, I probably would have been an All-American there, my college career.
Why you leave?
Several different reasons. One of the reasons, and I also visited Indiana too, University of Indiana too. Bobby Knight had recruited me as well. I had the coach, young, coming out of high school, kind of was the man, kind of did everything I wanted to do in high school. And once I got to college, it's a little more stricter than what I had actually expected. And Bob Donowall was the coach at Illinois State, actually was the assistant for Bobby Knight. And, this guy was hard-nosed. And being a young kid, I really didn't know how to apply myself to his program. And I guess I should say I kind of felt that I needed to participate in a program that was going to be more comforting for me. And at that particular time, I couldn't adjust to the coach at the time. That was one of the reasons why I ended up leaving, going to the University of Oklahoma. Actually, went to junior college and then to the University of Oklahoma.
So do you regret leaving Illinois State?
It's funny you asked that question. We ended up meeting with Oklahoma State in a Christmas tournament when I was at Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma. They came down. We played them. I want to say we beat them by 30-some points. And then afterwards, they interviewed me, and they also interviewed Illinois State head coach. And one of his remarks was that that I used to play for him, and he really didn't know where I had left from there. He thought I had went back home and just had actually came home, just became a bum. He didn't know that I was actually playing for the University of Oklahoma. But We had beat him so bad that year, and in an interview he had told one of the announcers that if I actually had stayed with his school, then I would have been their #1 player. So that's the difference in the two levels that are on, with playing in Oklahoma and playing at Illinois State. And it kind of shocked me that he had said that. We were sitting down and he kind of said that. So they had big plans for me at the particular time. But at that time, I didn't know. I didn't know. I was a young kid and was talented. You know how we do sometimes. We figured that we can go and kind of do what we wanted to do. But as you grow, you learn. But I ended up playing all 4 years in college. So it kind of paid off.